We're going to go ahead and get started. This set of notes is not going to take long. After I finish the notes, I'm going to stop recording, and then I want to look at your worksheet with you. Okay, kind of as a reward for Zoomers coming and you guys being in here. I'm going to pretty much do that worksheet with you. So we have a hard time in here turning in worksheets for some reason. So I'm going to help you out with the one that we have for today, just because there's some on there that you're probably not familiar with. You should know how to do it by now. But if you don't, I want to go over it. So this very first part of your notes is super easy. So we're going to do factoring differences of squares, and what I call this is pairs and share. Okay, so we've learned cheater method, we've learned slide and divide, and now we're going to learn pairs and share. So what we're going to do is break it down like we're trying to take out a GCF, because our first step to factoring is always to pull out a GCF. So what are your factors of 9m squared? What are your factors of 9? 3 and 3. Your factors of m squared are 2m's. We have a minus, that's the key here. If it's a minus, you can factor it. If it's a plus, you won't be able to do this. So it's got to be a difference. So it's got to be a minus. 25 is 5 and 5. So if you'll look, you have pairs. You have 2 3s, 2 m's, and 2 5s. Okay? So this is why I call it pairs and share. You have pairs of everything. We're going to share it. We have 2 sets of parentheses when we factor. In the front, each one is going to get a 3 and an m because we're going to share them. In the back, each one is going to get a 5 so we can share. One is positive, one is negative. You're done factoring. That's it. So again, when we break it down and we see pairs and a minus, we can share them. So look at the next one. We have x squared, which is x and x. We have a minus, and your factors of 4 are 2 and 2. So we see 2 x's and 2 2's, excuse me, y'all, separated by a minus, which means that we can share them. So in our 2 sets of parentheses, we share the x in front, the 2 in the back. One is positive, one is negative. That's it. There's nothing else to this. So what about number 3? What are your factors of 25x squared? What about x squared? Then we have a minus. And what are your factors of 4? So we have pairs. So 2 sets of parentheses. What's going to go in the front of each one? Say it again. Look, here's your front. Here's your back. What's going in the front? 5 and x. And in the back? 2 and 2. Each one gets one. What are your signs? What are your signs between? One is positive, one is negative. Doesn't matter which order you put it in. All right. What are your factors of x squared? We have a minus. What are your factors of 16? Do it a little bit better. Give me a different set of factors. 4 and 4. Why do I want 4 and 4? Pairs. 2 sets of parentheses. What am I going to put in the front? X in both of them. And in the back? And what are your signs? That's it. Number 5. X squared is what? 2 x's. We have a minus. 25 is? 5 and 5. 2 sets of parentheses. What goes in the front? In the back? Your signs? One positive, one negative. All right, so if we look at the next one, we have 5p squared and 20. What are your factors of 5p squared? I'm struggling today, y'all, sorry. Yeah, I don't have to put the 1, right? So just 5 and 2 p's. And then we have a minus. And what are your factors of 20? 4 and 5. So I'm going to take out the 5. What are your factors of 4? 2 and 2. First step to factoring is always a GCF. Is there a GCF in this? Do they have something in common? What is it? So we're going to take that 5 out. And then what do you notice about what's left over? It made pairs, right? So we are at the 5. And then we put our 2 sets of parentheses. That 5 doesn't matter anymore. What goes in the front? What goes in the back? One is positive, one is negative. That's it. So on the last couple, we're going to take a GCF out, and then it should be pairs and share. Okay. So always try that first. And then if it doesn't work, you may not be able to factor it. All right. Factors of 3v squared are 3v and v. Listen carefully. 48 is 6 times 8. 6 is 3 times 2. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. Or remember that I told you 8 was 3 2s. Do they have anything in common? Yeah, see the 3's are in common. We're going to pull those out and we're done with those. And if you look, we have V's and 2 sets of 2's. Is everybody good? I'm going to do this in 2 parts. You can do it all together when you get your homework or your quiz or whatever, that's fine. In the front, I'm going to have a V, but in the back, I have 2 pairs of 2's. So I'm going to have 2 times 2. One is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. But what is 2 times 2? So we're going to have V plus 4 and V minus 4. So I just wanted to show you how that worked if you had 2 sets of numbers. If it would have been a set of 2's and a set of 3's, you would have 6's in common. Okay. All right, number 8. 3v squared breaks into 3vv. What are your factors of 12? 6 and 2. 6 is 2 and 3. What do they have in common? So we're going to pull that 3 out to the front and then 2 sets of parentheses. What goes in the front of the parentheses? What goes in the back? What are my signs? Positive and negative. That's it, y'all. So it really doesn't get any harder than that right there. So today's work, that's it. So the hardest part is pulling out a GCF, which you've been doing for like a week now. So you should be okay. Look at number 9. Look at number 9. If we break this down, 4 is 2 and 2, n. Minus 2 times 2. What do they have in common? How many of them? They have 2 2's in common or a 4 in common. What do I always have when I circle everything? No, what do I have left when I circle everything? What do I write down? A 1, right? What are your factors of 1? 1 times what? 1, yeah. Don't make it complicated. I'm just showing you. If everything is circled, then in the back, you're just going to put 1s. Just like always, if everything is circled, we put 1s. In the front, we would have n's. Our signs are plus, minus. This is our factor. So it kind of threw you off bringing out the 4. But again, when you have everything circled, we always write 1s. In the next one, what are your factors of 16? 4, 4, R. Your factors of 4? 2 and 2. Now, what you're not going to see is your GCF in this. Why? What is 2 times 2? So do I have a 4 in both of them? So be careful, you may have to break this out again. And then you could see that you have 2 2s or a 4 in common, or 2 parentheses. I have 2 2s and 2 R's left, so that means I'm going to split them up. 1 2 and 1 R. What do I write if I circle everything? 1, and write it in both of them. 1 is positive, 1 is negative. All right, so that's literally it. That's all there is for your notes. So what I told you guys is once I finished your notes, I was going to go do that worksheet with you, and I'm going to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And anybody that wants to leave, you can leave. But I'm telling you right now, I'm doing the whole worksheet with you guys.